Can you say half a day in Tito to the Northern Mariana Islands?
I can, but why don't we just go there?
Half a day in Tito.
All right, now we're joined with the 2021 CNMI Teacher of the Year, Bonny Cruz. Bonny, how are you doing? You're calling us from quarantine, right?
Yes, it's so nice to be home. I am joining you from Kanoa Resort. After arriving, I've been placed in quarantine, going through the process to make sure that we're keeping the CNMI safe. So yeah, I have so much time, and I'm glad that you've reached out, and I'm glad to be here with you.
All right, so let's just jump right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you teach and what you teach, and how long you've been an educator in the CNMI.
So again, my name is Bonny Cruz. I am an educator, a product of the public school system, and now an educator of the public school system. I have been teaching for 7 years at Coblerville Elementary School as a 5th grade classroom teacher. I'm also an ed tech instructor under the Instructional Technology and Distance Education program. So being a teacher for 5th grade, we teach all subjects. And I think that's what comes from all elementary or primary school teachers. We teach all subjects. As an ed tech instructor, I support teachers both in the public school and the private school. We share strategies and ways to implement technology in the classroom so that we can enhance the students' learning experience. So right now I'm actually teaching the 10th cohort of ed tech, which is awesome. That means that we're putting out more, sharing more knowledge with our educators so that we can battle times like this when we've had to go from, remote learning to hybrid, and now we're back in the classroom. And so, yeah, I've recently transitioned as of, I believe it was September 7th. I recently transitioned out of the classroom, and I now serve the student and support services under the public school system through their mental health team. I'm a behavioral health specialist. And so I'd like to think I just recently had a conversation with our 2021 National Teacher of the Year, Juliana from Las Vegas. And she kind of helped me realize that even though I have this new title, my real passion really starts and stems from my time as a teacher. And so this idea of a classroom for me is now abstract. I feel like even though I'm not serving in the classroom of Coblerville Elementary School, I've now made myself available to support so many different parts of the public school system. In the short amount of time I've been serving as a behavioral health specialist, I've connected with high school students. I've presented to elementary students, even our U.S. District Court, about how mental health wellness matters. And so it's been such a great experience so far. A big transition, definitely challenging in its own ways, but I think really my heart is in the sense that I'm an educator, and that I don't think is ever going to change, even if I've stepped out of the classroom. So yeah.
Thank you so much. And I think everyone saw your post and your video meeting the President of the United States along with the other educators. What was your reaction like? I mean, first with the news that you're Teacher of the Year, and then now you're at the nation's capital. What was that like?
So I actually had, I'm still in shock, to be quite honest. I'm from Cagman. I was a little girl who went to Cagman. Actually, I'm a product of the public school system. I grew up in Cagman too, and I've lived on the island almost all my life. And I've learned about presidents and US government and the CNMI government from textbooks. And so I think about that's also how I've taught or introduced topics of government to my students, is from looking at resources, right? textbooks that we have in our classrooms or media and what's available online. And so one, to be invited by Dr. Jill Biden, who is an American educator herself, that already was an honor that, you know, somebody at that standard is acknowledging the work that educators do every single day, the way they serve students and their families every single day. So that in itself was exciting. And so for me to be in Washington, D.C., Washington Week to celebrate the 2020 and the 2021 State Teachers of the Year and our National Teachers of the Year was really an exciting time. And so I remember sitting there in the south lawn of the White House. What? And I remember just reflecting on how unreal, how surreal this moment is that I went from learning about this, teaching it to my students, and now I'm sitting in the south lawn of the White House. And so to be hearing from the First Lady herself, just remind us to celebrate ourselves as educators and the profound work that we do. Definitely a humbling and just joyful experience. And then she went on to explain that she had a special guest arriving who wanted just to wave and say hi to us. I knew in that moment that it had to be the president. It has to be. It just has to be. We've come so far. And so the drum rolls start going, music start playing, and the 46th president of the United States, Joe Biden himself, walks through the door and he comes to the stage and he speaks to us. And so, mind you, I was sitting in the South Lawn and I remember looking up at the stage and just in awe that I am sitting in front of a US president. Never in my mind did I expect any of that to happen. I think even when I received the invitation, I don't think I realized that it was going to actually happen until I was sitting there. And it took a while until after that, later in the evening, when I realized, oh my gosh, that happened. Like I have a video with him. So it was exciting. I was sitting there. I actually had a really bad view from where I was sitting. There was like a teleprompter, I believe, in front of the podium, and I couldn't get a good picture. I was like, oh my gosh, no. Yeah, and so we gathered to take a group photo, and I'm centered, but in the back of the crowd. And all of a sudden, I see this like area kind of clear around him. And I'm like, this is my moment. I'm just going to take a video of him while he's speaking to other people. It's fine. I just need to capture this moment to show to people back home. And then I have it on selfie mode. And I think he recognizes that I'm like recording it. And I just slip in and I'm just like, can you please say Hafa and Tiro to the people of the Northern Mariana Islands? And I don't even realize, I didn't even think about what I was actually going to say. It just came out of my mouth. And so it was really nice for him to say Hafa. I think I spoke too quickly because I was too excited. So I don't think he heard the word Tiro clearly, but he seemed excited. He said that, you know, why don't we just go there? And granted, our executive chief, commander in chief has more pressing issues than, you know, he may or may not remember that he said that, but it was just nice to interact with him even for that small amount of time. And so for me, it was more sense that, like, I think back and I reflect on that moment and I think about my students and I think of the students that I've had or the students that I'm going to encounter serving in the public school system. It's a reminder that to not let any limiting beliefs about yourself, things that you've encountered in your own past, do not let those things determine where you're going to go in the future, because I never thought that I was going to be standing next to the 46th president of the United States. but it happened. And he acknowledged us. And so for me, it's symbolic that we can do anything. Our people can do anything we want to do. We're capable of, I have students that I think of that could easily serve as presidents in the future, who could work in the Capitol building. I'm just like, for me, that was just a reminder that anything is possible. And so, like I said, it's been an amazing week. I'm still quite in shock. I feel like my body has been manifesting these feelings of both anxiousness and excitement and just joy. So it's been wonderful. And I'm just so grateful for CCSSO for making that possible in the sense of planning and preparing for that Washington week trip. So yes.
Amazing, amazing. I felt like I was just there with you. I could really feel your passion in talking about your students and that experience. I wanted to wrap up with our last question here about what your message is to the community, or your vision or your hope for education in the Marianas and the larger Pacific region, given your recent experience.
Yeah, so teachers have always, experienced joy in what they do, and there's a special type of person that is called to the classroom to teach. And so I recognize that we have a real issue with teacher shortages and our mental wellness, not just in the CNMI, but everywhere around the world. And so I want to acknowledge that mental wellness should be our priority in education. We know that students more than half of our population have experienced mental health issues, and a fraction of that has only reached out for support. And so I'm so grateful to be a part of a team who has made it their mission to support students, teachers, counselors, our community in breaking those cycles where we step away from the stigma that comes with mental health, and really just start talking about it more. Because if we can help our youth and equip them with the strategies to manage their mental health, then we can pretty much prevent chronic illness in adulthood or substance abuse in adulthood, because that's really what comes from mental health issues. And so I want to remind our public, just like I did when I shared last year when I first was announced, that we need to prioritize ourselves. And I know that's so hard to do. It almost seems like, how can we take care of ourselves when there's just still so much, teachers, especially coming from the classroom, and it's still being so fresh in my mind, it's hard to take care of ourselves when we know that we're piling on all these different tasks from people around us. But we need to prioritize. There's 1,440 minutes in a day, and we must. It's not something to. It's not up for discussion. It's necessary. And so I think of self-care as you prioritizing yourself because you matter, because you want to continue to serve in to have optimal performance for not just for yourself and your profession, but for your students. And so if they're going to gain the most out of you, it's going to be because you take care of yourself. And just recently, I had attended a session where we had talked about collective care. And we need to understand as a community that in order to impact each other in the best ways possible, we need to take care of ourselves. And that translates and transcends into our community. And so I want to remind our students, our teachers, people in the community to continue to reach out for help when they need to. I want to remind them that there is support in the community, where there are people that are rooting for you, who celebrate your life every day, and you are so loved, you matter, and we are just so grateful for all the people in the community who uplift each other, because I think that's what we need to do. We need to continue to do is uplift each other and remind each other that, you know, we bring joy and our lives matter. So yeah.
All right. On that note, I just wanted to congratulate you. Hope you take care, and thank you so much, and congratulations again.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me.